Starlink and Amazon's $300 million bid for Colorado's broadband funds. What you need to know. A $300 million internet revolution, or a short-sighted gamble? Colorado's high-stakes broadband battle reveals a shocking tech shift. In a whirlwind policy reversal that's left rural communities and internet providers reeling, Colorado's $826.5 million federal broadband expansion plan has become ground zero for a national debate. Should we prioritize affordable connectivity today or invest in future-proof infrastructure? The answer could leave millions trapped in technological limbo. Here's what exploded this month. After years of planning, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, NTIA, abruptly changed the rules for Colorado's Broadband Equity, Access and Deployment BAD program, part of a $42.5 billion national initiative born from 2021's infrastructure bill. The goal? Connect every American to modern internet. The catch? A controversial new benefit of the bargain policy now prioritizes cost savings over cutting-edge technology. But here's where it gets messy. Providers had just 14 days to overhaul their proposals, down from an original 6 weeks, with one seismic shift. Gone is Colorado's preference for fiber optic networks, the gold standard for speed and reliability. Instead, satellite services like Elon Musk's Starlink and Amazon's upcoming Project Kuiper now compete equally with wireless and even outdated DSL systems. The result? A stampede of 29 new applicants, including 8 Starlink proposals, while fiber projects plummeted from 64% to 40% of applications. We essentially had to burn our playbook and start over, admits Brandy Reiter, head of Colorado's broadband office, describing the 90-day scramble to meet new federal mandates. Her team now faces an impossible timeline, vetting 130,000 locations in 45 days versus the original 9 months. The numbers tell a stark story. Satellite providers requested $363 million, nearly half Colorado's BAD funds. Fiber companies saw $464 million. Fixed wireless asked $60 million. But here's the twist. While Starlink's median 105 Mbps speeds now beat mobile networks, only 17.4% of its users actually meet federal minimums. Fiber, meanwhile, delivers gigabit speeds unaffected by neighborhood usage, crucial for remote work and healthcare. This is now satellite's game to lose, warns Brian Worthen of Visionary Broadband, whose fiber-focused competitors face an uphill battle. Even providers like Jade Communications, which stuck with fiber applications, admit the rules favor quick fixes. Buried fiber is still the best solution for remote areas, argues co-CEO Jordan Wee. But the system now rewards cheaper, faster deployments. The human cost? Rural Coloradans risk getting stuck with good enough internet that can't handle future needs. As FTI Wi-Fi's Bill Blackford notes, swapping fiber for wireless saved $3 million on his proposal, but sacrifices longevity. We're spending billions, only to deliver substandard $120 a month service. Is that really progress? And members Amazon's looming wildcard, Project Kuiper. With 3,200 satellites launching now and 400 Mbps speeds promised by late 2025, could Bezos' venture outmuscle even Starlink? The company's BAD application remains shrouded in secrecy, like its unannounced pricing. Critics blast the policy as a false economy. $100,000 per fiber connection seems steep until you realize it's for a 50-year solution, argues one ISP engineer, while satellite advocates counter. Why wait years for fiber when we can cover 100% of Colorado tomorrow? Satellite Industry Association data shows 97.3% of rural households already have satellite access. As Colorado races toward a September 4th deadline, a brutal truth emerges. This isn't just about technology, it's a values clash. Should we bridge the digital divide quickly with existing tools or build infrastructure that keeps pace with innovation? The final shocker. Colorado claims it was already tech neutral. We always plan hybrid solutions, insists Rita, noting Kuiper's role in filling coverage gaps. But with providers like FTI Wi-Fi spending $10,000 plus on revised applications and fiber projects being scrapped, many wonder, are we solving today's problem by creating tomorrow's crisis? Now over to you. In the race to connect everyone, is it ethical to prioritize affordable short-term solutions over superior long-term infrastructure? Could Colorado's broadband plan become a cautionary tale or a national model? The comments are yours. Starlink's growing role in government amid Trump and Musk feud. What happens when the government's lifeline to the internet is controlled by a billionaire with a history of unpredictable decisions? As the feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk intensifies, US agencies at every level, from Antarctic research labs to Alaska's ferry system, are quietly relying on Starlink, SpaceX's satellite internet service. But here's where it gets tricky. The same tech that's saving lives during disasters might also be entangled in Musk's Mars colonization dreams. And this is the part most people miss. The government's growing dependence on a private company whose founders' erratic behavior could one day disrupt critical operations. Imagine a research team in Antarctica needing real-time data, or a 9/11 operator scrambling to restore communication during a blackout. Starlink's terminals have become the go-to solution for these scenarios, even showing up at the White House. But critics warn that this convenience comes with risks. Speed throttling, inconsistent service, and a lack of transparency about how SpaceX operates have raised red flags. And let's not forget, Musk has openly tied Starlink's future to funding his interplanetary ambitions. What happens when a service meant to save lives gets repurposed for sci-fi dreams? How exactly is the government acquiring this tech? There's no one-size-fits-all answer. Agencies can purchase through Starlink's direct sales, the GSA's multiple award schedule contract, or via resellers. But here's the catch. Resellers often act as intermediaries, handling everything from procurement to troubleshooting. Take Mettel, which offers 24/7 support and even maintains a backup hardware inventory. Yet this setup raises questions. If a reseller's relationship with SpaceX breaks down, who's responsible for keeping the internet alive during a hurricane or wildfire? The Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, and even the FBI have jumped on board, though not without drama. During Hurricane Helene, Musk accused FEMA of blocking Starlink deliveries, a claim the agency denied. Meanwhile, Customs and Border Protection uses it for video surveillance in remote areas, calling us a critical part of our network portfolio. But what happens when the service falters? Agencies admit they're at the mercy of a company that prioritizes Musk's vision over bureaucratic stability. States are following suit. Maine spent $5.4 million on 9,000 free Starlink terminals for rural areas, while Virginia added it to its state service catalog. But not all experiences are smooth. Louisiana's tech team described SpaceX as unlike any other company we've worked with, citing impossible purchase orders and unresponsive support. One official bluntly said, "If not for the fact that they're the only company who can provide low latency, high bandwidth, satellite internet, I wouldn't bother doing business with them." Then there's the elephant in the room. Who's really paying for this? Federal funding programs like B could soon subsidize Starlink for millions of households. But is it fair to use taxpayer dollars for a service already available to the public? Experts argue this blurs the line between public good and corporate gain. And what about security? When Starlink terminals appeared at the White House, critics questioned how a private company's tech could safeguard sensitive government data. The stakes are high. As Maryland's CCO Eric Bathurst put it, "There's no one to Cormtic when the service jitters." His team's terminals consumed 2 gigabytes of data daily just to stabilize connections, draining their monthly cap. Meanwhile, Alaska's government initially tried to negotiate an enterprise deal with SpaceX, only to be told, "Just go online, then buy the dishes." Now they rely on resellers to manage the chaos. So where does this leave us? Starlink is undeniably a game changer for remote connectivity. But its reliance on a single, unpredictable company, owned by someone who once threatened to move the country to Mars, raises urgent questions. Are we trading short-term convenience for long-term vulnerability? Should the government trust a tech giant whose CEO's tweets can sway stock prices and public perception overnight? The experts are divided. Some praise Starlink's life-saving potential. Others warn of a dangerous monopoly. As SpaceX continues to orbit Earth with thousands of satellites, one thing is clear. The internet's future and the government's access to it might hinge on the whims of a billionaire with a rocket. What do you think? Is this dependence a smart move or a gamble too far? Share your thoughts below. Why satellite internet can't replace fiber. Speed, cost, and limitations explained. Satellite technology is not a superior substitute for fiber optics. Let's explore the reasons behind this assertion. The effectiveness of satellite broadband is significantly limited by issues related to capacity and latency. The costs associated with consumer satellite internet remain considerably higher than those for fiber connections. Despite these hurdles, the satellite industry is expected to continue its growth trajectory. As we look ahead, the expansion of satellite broadband is on the verge of a significant increase, especially following updates to the $42.5 billion Broadband Equity, Access and Deployment (BAD) program. However, the question remains, can satellite technology truly match the performance of fiber optics? The answer is still uncertain, and that's no joke. The challenge of bandwidth capacity. One of the primary challenges facing satellite broadband is its limited bandwidth capacity. For example, SpaceX's Starlink currently has sufficient network capacity in only about half of the United States. In other regions, potential customers often find themselves on lengthy wait lists for service. Even if the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, allocates additional spectrum for satellite providers, experts like Aaron Menon, a leading analyst at MTN Consulting, argue that this will not adequately address the existing capacity issues. The exact number of satellites that will be deployed to connect BAD locations remains unknown. However, it's important to know that an increase in the number of satellites in orbit necessitates more intricate coordination to prevent interference among them and with ground-based systems. As Menon points out, latency and packet loss issues. Satellite internet services are also plagued by higher latency and packet loss when compared to traditional fiber connections. While users can manage basic online activities such as browsing the web, checking emails, and even streaming HD videos, they may encounter data limits when engaging in more demanding tasks like gaming or video conferencing. Menon has previously indicated that significant technological advancements are essential for satellite broadband to become a viable alternative to fiber. Cost comparisons. Satellite versus fiber and 5G. Advocates for satellite broadband often highlight its lower costs for rural internet deployment compared to fiber optics, especially since the expenses associated with laying fiber cables tend to rise in sparsely populated areas. While it's due that establishing a satellite connection requires less extensive infrastructure, just a modem and a dish at each site, the costs can still be substantial for consumers. For instance, the initial investment for Starlink equipment is $349, in addition to a monthly data plan starting at $120. Earlier this year, Starlink introduced a residential light plan priced at $80 per month, but this still represents a significant expense for what is intended to be an affordable broadband solution. In contrast, fiber broadband prices typically range from $50 to $200 per month, with many fiber internet service providers offering customer premises equipment, CPE, at no additional charge. Furthermore, data costs from satellite-based non-terrestrial networks, NTN, can be higher than those from terrestrial 5G networks. Joe Madden, a principal at Mobile Experts, estimates that data from providers like AST Mobile could cost between $5 to $9 per gigabyte, while a standard 5G plan averages around 30 cents per gigabyte. The future of the satellite market. Despite the technical challenges and cost barriers, analysts are optimistic about the future of the satellite market, predicting explosive growth in the coming years. Goldman Sachs forecasts that the market for satellite services could soar to an astonishing $108 billion by 2035. What's the verdict on satellite broadband? Currently, satellite broadband serves as a potential alternative for rural regions lacking access to cable and fiber networks. Analysts from Mobile Experts and Ookla have indicated that satellite technology is capable of supporting video conferencing, download speeds, and even managing downtime effectively. However, when considering the costs involved, an initial payment of $349, followed by $120 monthly, many Americans find satellite broadband to be financially out of reach, which raises questions about its effectiveness in bridging the digital divide. What are your thoughts on the viability of satellite broadband? Do you believe the costs justify the benefits, or is there a better solution? Share your opinions in the comments.